Hello and welcome to Simply Beautiful Sourdough. Today we're going to be scoring what I'm calling a dark star on a batard. This score is going to be just a little bit different, and it's going to be my first experience using cocoa powder to coat the loaf instead of rice flour and make that design stand out. Let's get into this. Just some quick housekeeping before we get into the actual scoring. First of all, if you could squish the like button, that helps the video so much. I'm still on the cusp of getting monetized. Hopefully by the time this comes out, it will have happened. But it's struggling. I'm slipping and sliding trying to get there. Also, if you could comment below, I love that. That's my favorite part of making these videos, is interacting with you. And if you have not subscribed and you enjoy this kind of content, I would be so very honored if you would. My oven behind me is heated up to 500 degrees. I am going to put the finished scored dough into the oven and put the lid on. It is heating without the lid on right now, the Dutch oven, so it'll be a cold lid on a hot Dutch oven with the dough in it for 40 minutes at 425 degrees. After I've lifted the lid off and we have seen the par bake, then I will bake it uncovered for another 20 minutes. The loaf itself is about 500 grams of flour. Actually, it's exactly 500 grams of flour. 20% of which, or 100 grams, is whole wheat. It is 75% hydration, 375 grams of water, 20% starter, 100 grams. The reason I'm doing that, during the winter, you can get away with a higher starter amount. That's the highest I ever go, but when the weather is colder outside, it does better with a higher starter amount. 2.5% salt. The links for everything I'm using are going to be in the description box below. I also pin them to the top of the comments as soon as I am able after the video goes out. Okay, let's get to scoring. I am the woman who is dumb enough to try something for the first time on camera. I think most people test things out first. So I'm going to be using black cocoa in my little sifter to dust over the top of the loaf before scoring to make my design stand out. I will try and remember to link this also in the description box below, down with my supplies in case you want to try some for yourself. We're going to discover together if this works or not. I'm going to put my bread sling over top. Turntable over bread sling. Turntable's not necessary. You can turn the bread sling around to score. I just find this a little bit easier. I'm going to squirt it with some water. I may be dumb enough to try this on camera for the first time, but I was at least smart enough to put an apron on because I can see where this black cocoa could make a mess. And I'm going to dry my hands while I let that soak in for just a minute. I have never worked with black cocoa before. Have you? Would be interesting to hear if anyone has. Get as much of this on without spreading with my hands as I can because I think it's going to make a mess. We'll see. I want a pretty good coating here. So this is what I'm going to call a manger star because this is kind of the way I've always pictured the star over the manger, but this would also work kind of as a cross if, depending on your beliefs over Easter as well, I think. It's kind of a fancy cross. Oh yeah, that is dark. I washed my hands and brushed the excess flour off from around the loaf. Now I'm going to take my dental floss and I'm going to just try and outline the straight lines for the star. Is it going to show up in this powder? I might have to wing this. I want those narrower. Erase that. That angle came out too much, so I'm trying to make it so that there's 4 prongs on this star instead of the traditional 5 or 6. And I want the top one a little bit shorter than the bottom one. Now I'm going to make a line from tip to tip, and then from tip to tip on the side as well. And then I'm going to make a line going across in the middle. So those are off a little bit there in the middle. I'm going to have to adjust for that when I score. I have my UFO LOM, so I'm going to score the outside of the star here. This score is just a series of straight lines. And I'm sure there are wonderfully talented people out there or who could do this without having to make lines in it with dental floss. I just don't trust myself enough. This top part's a little skinnier than I wanted it to be. Just gonna flick that up, make sure that's completely cut. All right, this one looks like it didn't quite break free. There it goes. Now I'm going to score across the middle. That straight line across the middle. And before I do the straight line down, I'm going to go ahead and do these, because that straight line down is going with the tension. The tension on a boule should go this way because you shape it rolling towards you. And I want to do that one last because it's more likely to split. Whoops, that got a little crooked. That's okay. Now to take the tension off of this design, I'm going to do a huge functional score all the way around the bottom. This is where the turntable comes in handy. But again, you can also grab the handle of a bread sling if you have one and use it, or if it's on parchment paper, you can just turn your parchment paper. Okay. Now I'm going to take my skewer and I'm going to make little pokes just to give some extra design here along the edges of each of the arms of the star. Now I'm going to do my line down the middle here. The last, going pretty light with my pushing on the, let's say, 1/8 of an inch deep on the actual star itself. Making sure everything is free and clear of each other so it'll split properly. I got that one crooked, didn't I? Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and just do a deeper score here, deepen the score that's around the edge of the star, just to help it really separate off. Really want that to separate off, so I'm making sure that's nice and deep, especially here at the inner corners, so that it breaks off more as one piece to the center, the star, rather than some pieces floating away and some pieces staying in. Okay, it's going to go in the oven for 40 minutes, and then we'll see you with the par bake. Let's see how our night manger star turned out. Little puff of steam. Oh, it's pretty. Ha ha. I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah, that's cute. I wish it would have split not quite as much through the middle, but you can still tell what it is, that it is a star. That functional score on the bottom kind of saved the design as well as going extra deep around the star. So now it's going to go back in the oven for 20 minutes at 225 degrees just to let it finish baking and browning, and I'll be back with the final bake. I think for a first attempt with both this design and with the black cocoa powder, that turned out pretty darned good. You can see there are all sorts of blisters through that cocoa powder there. I'm interested to see if this changes the taste at all. I doubt it. It's just a tiny bit on top. But I love the effect, and I can't wait to try this with all sorts of different loaves. So there is our functional score around the bottom. I do think that helped to save the star somewhat. I really don't see the little pokes I made with the skewer at all. So next time I would just leave those off. I think it's just beautiful, just like it is. This could have split a little more right here. I should have maybe made the line a little bit deeper through there, or made it shallower through the other three so that that was more symmetrical. But I'm really, I'm splitting hairs right now. I think it turned out super nice. Well, thank you very much for watching this. If you would like to see other scoring videos, be sure and check out my other videos. I have all sorts of ideas, and I really appreciate you taking a little bit of your time to spend with me today. Bye-bye, and be blessed. And today we're going to be doing a dark star of sorts on this batard. This loaf is going to, no, when I hold it absolutely straight, it tilts off to this side. Just a little, nope, it doesn't. I'm wrong, it doesn't. It's okay. We're going to start that again. Here is our beautiful 6-pronged loaf. Isn't that gorgeous? I think this turned out really, nope, this isn't a 6-pronged loaf. I just called it the wrong thing. Let's start this again. Wow, where was my brain? Okay.